Dr. John Rutledge, who I'm happy to say is a senior research fellow in the Department of Economics here for our School of Politics and Economics. Dr. Rutledge is the chairman of Rutledge Capital, a private equity investment firm that has invested more than $150 million in middle market manufacturing, distribution, and service companies. He is a member of the advisory boards of BV Group, a venture capital, hedge fund and real estate investment firm, and First Q Capital, a hedge fund. Dr. Rutledge is a visiting professor at the Chinese Academy of Sciences and chief advisor for finance and investment to the governor of the Hejian district in Beijing. He is a board member of the Progress and Freedom Foundation, the Heartland Institute, and a senior fellow at the Pacific Research Institute. Dr. Rutledge began his career as a professor of monetary economics, international finance, and econometrics at Tulane University and Claremont McKenna College. In 1978, he founded the Claremont Economics Institute, an economic advisory business here in Claremont. He holds a BA from Lake Forest College and a PhD from the University of Virginia. He divides his time between Las Vegas, New York, Newport Beach, Maui, and Beijing. When not traveling the globe, Dr. Rutledge appears weekly on Fox News, Saturday morning business shows, Forbes on Fox, and Your Questions, Your Money Live. He is a frequent guest on CNBC's Kudlow and Company, PBS's Wall Street Week with Fortune, and CNN's In the Money. He wrote the business strategy column for Forbes for more than a decade and writes for Forbes.com and TheStreet.com. He also authors the acclaimed Rutledge blog on economic and technology issues at his blog, which is www.rutledgeblog.com. He testifies frequently before congressional committees and has advised government officials in the United States, the United Kingdom, Ireland, China, and Kuwait. It would take me quite a while longer to give you all of the accolades for Dr. Rutledge, but I want you to know we are so privileged today to have him honor us and accept our invitation to come and speak with us. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you very, very much. That's a very kind and eloquent way to say an old guy who can't hold a steady job. But my attention deficit disorder shows in those things. Right now, most of my time is actually spent managing a portfolio of Gulf region assets that's located in Geneva in Switzerland. So the things you do when you deal the cards out around the world, all asset classes, all countries. So we can talk about that. And getting ready for, and a couple other things. But my dilemma for today was, because we're not acquainted very well yet, is to try and decide whether to take a specific topic and burrow down deeply into it, which is fun, but might entirely be off the point. And so what I decided to do instead is do a machine gun approach that'll tell you 8 or 10 different things that I'm working on and interested in, and then you can raise which ones are useful for you. Because I'm really interested, as I was telling Tom before, I really miss the smell of chalk. It's been a long time since I was a professor.
No more chalk, John. It's all the dry markers.
When I teach a course, I'm bringing a blackboard. Right. And working with students, but of course I have to know exactly what you're working on to know where to be helpful. So this is the show you the stuff I'm interested in, and then we'll continue the conversation after the thing. The presentation here is something like a course I gave at the Chinese Academy of Sciences to a group of very bright young people. And it's how to integrate a handful of subject areas that have 10 different names today that are all go under the name of systems. So think of it as systems theory, network theory, complexity, emergence, there's chaos theory, catastrophe theory. The math is the same for all of them. It's all non-equilibrium thermodynamics, far from equilibrium. And so I want to talk about what that means for economics and for finance and for portfolio theory and things like that. And I'll tell you in the beginning, I think macroeconomics as invented and as generally practiced is utterly worthless. I think modern portfolio theory is utterly worthless. And today, there are hosts of investors who feel like they were cheated over the last 2 years because of the promised benefits of optimal portfolios were not delivered. And in particular, diversification. So I want to talk about that, talk about cash holdings, talk about how we might rebuild those things in a little different way. So enough of that. But here we go. This is my hero, one of my heroes, Leonardo. And Leonardo had a favorite expression, which was, it's Tuscan, sapere vedere. It means to know how to see. So to me, knowing how to see is the metaphor in your head that allows you to know how to attack a problem. Because somebody asked him once, "Why? How can you be such a good painter, a sculptor, an inventor, a military engineer, and all that?" And that was his answer. So I want to try and paint a picture, and then we can figure out what we want to do with that picture when we're done. First point of view, I know you can't tell those faces. If you were up here close, every name on that list you would probably know. The little guy in the middle with the fuzzy hair is Einstein. Madame Curie is this one. Niels Bohr is over there. The tall guy in the light suit in the back is Schrödinger. They're all there, right? There was a series of debates in Brussels in the 1920s that Bohr won and Einstein was right. But he wasn't such a good debater. But what's interesting to me is this interplay among all these guys. Because Schrödinger, everybody knows his role in quantum theory and so forth. But what most people don't know is he published a little book in 1943 when he was teaching in Ireland. It's about that thick. It's 2 parts. The front part is called Order from Order, and the back part is Order from Disorder. And the front part was him describing what must exist in order for reproduction to happen. So he invented DNA. Both Watson and Crick say that reading that book is what got them going, looking for DNA. The back half of the book is Order from Disorder, and what it says is the only fundamental law we have in nature is the second law of thermodynamics, which is pushing us toward disorder at all times, but yet we see all these orderly structures. How is that possible? So he was looking for the properties of non-equilibrium structures. And that was the genesis of all of these things that I talked about 5 minutes ago. They basically all derive from the same issues, which is the issue studied by Boltzmann. Boltzmann was driven into insanity by the dominant guys in the field in his day. He committed suicide because he refused to play equilibrium. He wanted to understand non-equilibrium situations. I raised that issue because next to Schrödinger, there's a little short guy. And nobody knows his name. His name is de Dondé. He was a professor at the Free University of Brussels. His thing was non-equilibrium chemistry. And he wanted to study the properties of non-equilibrium systems in a chemistry frame. He was hounded and destroyed by the other guys in this picture and other people because he refused to play the equilibrium game. Basically, Bohr and others said, you know, we're here to understand equilibrium. And I think if you start there and then you ask, what is most of what we do in economics? We're all searching for equilibrium or we're describing it. And a physicist would tell you, equilibrium is the only point on the map where nothing interesting is happening. Physicists call it heat death, right? It's like the party's over. Nothing further is going to take place. So I think anything interesting we talk about is going to be non-equilibrium stuff. Well, the destruction of Mr. de Dondé. I'm going to fast forward to 1961. Whoops, I thought it was. There we go. Similar bunch of guys, same place, Sully Institute. Here, there are guys like Feynman. Who's Mr. Fractals? Mandelbrot? They're there. right? This guy, right here, his name is Ilya Prigogine. He's a Russian guy that went to Belgium, did chemistry, won a Nobel Prize.